And I want to talk to you about God's commandment for us to have abundant sex. Yeah, I just said it. I can't believe he said that word. Did you just hear that? Did he really say that? Yeah, I want to talk to you about sex and the importance of it and the commandments that around sex that a lot of people don't know. And why don't they know it? Well, it's not the easiest conversation to teach in front of a congregation of people of all different ages and all different beliefs, especially when it has something to do with something that is so personal. So I'm already turned off of a huge group of people because they're just so turned off just by the word sex, because the first time sin entered into this world, the first time it ever even talks about sin entering into this world, immediately people were ashamed of sex. Immediately. They saw that they were naked and they felt ashamed. It's crazy because that's not God who put that in them. It's the enemy of our soul that put that in you, because the first commandment of God to a husband and wife was to be fruitful and multiply. I want to talk to you about that. But before I start there, I want to give you some insight on Genesis 1. I call it the God said chapter, and it's a God said, let there be light, and there was light. So what it's talking about is not just said, it's actually a commandment. This is intended to happen. It's a word with a promise. It's a calling. These are what all this one word means. It means that God spoke into the heart of an individual. It means that too. It means he spoke into their thoughts. And so it's more than just say, it is life changing. And so this is the mission. He said, I've created humans to reflect my image. And we'll talk about what that means in depth later. But then he goes on to say, I've got a mission for you guys. This is a mission. And it says, God blessed them and God said to them. But if you look at it in Hebrew, it actually is God blessed, God said. And it also says in there, if you look in depth on it, it puts the word W-A-Y in front of the verb. And that W-A-Y means it's joined the two verbs together. So you look for the next word that has W-A-Y in it. And that is, you see right here where it says said. And once again, it's more than just God said. It is God put this in their heart. He commanded them. So this is a blessing with a commandment. So the two are meant to not be separated. The two concepts were meant to be as one. So it's blessed commandments. It's blessed things that God has placed into the heart of these humans. That's why sex sells. You hear sex sells. And advertisers use sex all the time. It's because it's written in your DNA to want to do that, to want to connect with another person. And it's also, once again, it's a commandment that God has put into the DNA. And he also put it in the bird's DNA. And he put it in all of the animals' DNA. I mean, I look at the bluebirds, how hard they work to raise these kids for about 2 weeks, basically. And then those kids take off and then they may never see them again. And then they go and do it all over again. It's because God wired it in their DNA to be fruitful and multiply. And he wired it in almost every one of our DNA. And so what does that mean? So God, these are blessed commandments. And it starts with first thing he did is he said, he blessed them and commanded them to be fruitful. And what does it mean to be fruitful? It means to produce abundant seed. And what does it mean in Hebrew when a man produces abundant seed? All throughout the scriptures, it's talking about his semen. I said it, semen. And it's also talking about intercourse, coming together with your wife. This isn't talking about having a baby, even though that's the result, but he's commanding them to have frequent sex. Then the next thing it says, multiply. That means have babies. There's a blessing that comes when you have multiple babies. And then he says, fill the earth. There's a blessing that comes when they spread out, that they're not all on top of each other. Spread out to fill the earth. And then it says that we're called to rule. And then there's this part that everyone just kind of skips over. It's like a secondary thought because it does begin with saying God said, but many translations it says, and then God said. It doesn't say and then. It definitely doesn't say and then. We throw that in there. It's actually a continuation of the same thought. And it says that God basically told us to eat fruits and vegetables, nuts and herbs. And these are things, if you do these things, God says, these are commandments that have a blessing. And I'm like, really, God, are you really saying that if I have abundant sex with my wife, that there's a blessing that comes from it? Because Lord, I'm I'm no longer a spring chicken. So let's talk about what's the scientific proof that frequent sex of 5 times or more a week, what does it generally do for a person? Here's what it says. It prevents erectile dysfunction. It doesn't mean that you won't have it, but it helps prevent it because it strengthens and protects the nerve fibers in the penis and the blood vessels in the penis that are responsible for erectile function. So that's for men. For women, almost about the same thing. See, what happens is you get older, and this is very important, and any person who is 50 or older knows what I'm talking about. Things start shutting down. Your body says, we're out of business now. We're no longer making babies. We're out of business. Start shutting it down. Start shutting these things down. Wrinkles start coming in more. Erectile dysfunction comes in. A whole bunch of other things that we're going to talk about that frequent sex prevents. That if you're not doing frequent sex, you have a high probability of these problems coming upon you because you're disobeying what God had called you to do. But what if I'm not married? I'm not going to be. I'm not going to. That's something between you and the Lord. I'm not going to talk about that. But what I am going to talk about today is here are what the benefits are, proven scientifically. It helps prevent erectile dysfunction. It helps prevent vaginal apathy. See, after menopause, over 50%, that means over half of all the women in the United States will have pain during intercourse because their estrogen levels have dropped and their vagina, what starts happening is it tightens, narrows, and shortens. And so it makes it an uncomfortable experience, and its cause is the lack of estrogen. You could double the amount of production of estrogen just by having frequent sex. Frequent sex will also strengthen those muscles. It'll also tell the body, we're not done yet. We're not over with. The game is not over. And so your body starts getting, it says your hormones start becoming more imbalanced. Well, what is diabetes? It's one that almost 50% of all Americans will have diabetes in about 3.5 years or something like that, they said, or pre-diabetes. And eating fruits and vegetables, having regular sex, I think has a huge benefit that will reverse diabetes. We'll see. I'm making a commitment to fruits and vegetables and to as frequently as I can to reconnect with my wife. Oh, Dustin, I think you're reading a little bit too much in it. Am I? Look at 2nd chapter in Genesis. It says, for this reason. What's the reason? I'll tell you in a second. That a man leaves his parents and becomes one flesh with his wife. What's the reason? Intercourse. Intercourse is one flesh. That's what intercourse is. It's a beautiful descriptive of a man and a female. Their parts come together. They are one flesh. In fact, at 1 Corinthians 6, Apostle Paul says that if you join yourself with a prostitute, you have intercourse with a prostitute, you are one flesh. It is the marriage covenant physically acted out. So having frequent coming together as one flesh is a renewal of your wedding vows to each other. It's a renewal of your commitment as to becoming one flesh. Women who have frequent sex have an increased libido, so do the men. Increased vaginal lubrication, which helps with the pain, and the elasticity. It's like working out. It still keeps its elasticity up. It stops the shrinking process, and blood flow flows to the vagina, increasing the orgasm even more if they're frequently exercising that anatomy coming together as one. And if that wasn't enough to get you, you might be like, well, we're not going to use those parts anymore. Do you want to look 7 to 12 years younger? Of course I do. There's millions and billions, probably billions, trillions, who knows, money spent each year on trying to look younger. The reality is the chemicals, those youthful hormones that your body produces, your body stops producing as much as you get older because it says we're closing down. We're out of business now. We're not connecting there anymore. You don't need to look attractive anymore. So let's let the wrinkles come in. You don't need to produce as much sexual hormone and pheromones, and we don't need to generate a sign that says we're open for business when we're shut, we're closed. If you want to have a youthful look, continue to have a youthful look, you got to have these certain hormones produced by your body, and the best way to do is have it produced naturally, and it comes by having frequent sex. You have this orgasm releases a rush of hormones, these exact words, that promote healthier looking hair and skin. These hormones help damage thinning skin. They plump up the skin to reduce wrinkles and smooth out fine lines. Having frequent sex tells your body to continue work at maintaining your sex appeal. Wow. Well, that wasn't enough. It also helps prevent kidney stones. And I just recently had some kidney stones and had to get surgery. They were so big to get them out. If I had frequent sex, according to science, you release a chemical that helps break down those stones, and then how the contractions help break it up, and just basically it prevents it from happening. But the key is frequent. So if you don't want to have kidney stones, then you need to have frequent connection, frequent orgasm. It improves your brain function. You grow greater number of brain cells, which improve memory and calculation skills when you have frequent sex. It actually improves your brain capacity because you produce more. Once again, your body says, we're still in business. We still got to produce. We got to still keep this going. As soon as you tell your body it's no longer in business, things start shutting down. Even our brains start shutting down. Frequent sex boosts the libido, believe it or not. So if you're having a hard time getting in the mood, then just mechanically do it often, and eventually the brain will connect with the physical side of you. So it replaces sugar cravings. So there you go. Helps out with the diabetes. The same brain things that light up in your brain when you have high levels of sugar is the same brain light up that you have when you're having an orgasm. It improves your relationship. You produce this chemical in your body that helps you bond with another human being. When you have an orgasm release and you're looking at that person when you're having it, you feel connected to that person at a level that you normally wouldn't feel with any other human being. So it improves your marriage, improves your ability to perceive what the other person's feeling. It also produces better sleep, reduces stress, reduces depression, improves mood, improves mental health, because your body produces these antidepressants, that serotonin, it increases when you have an orgasm. It also produces, if you're having intercourse, it's 4 times, it produces this chemical 4 times more than it normally does. When you have intercourse, you get 4 times the amount of relaxation chemical in your body, that hormone that helps your body relax. There is a 68% correlation between sexual dysfunction and psoriasis. Anytime you see a bunch of commercials on TV, you know what Americans are dealing with. They're dealing with psoriasis. Frequent sex may be one of the ways to reduce psoriasis because it reduces stress. And for over a 24-hour period of time, up to a 24 period of time, you have this chemical that stays in your body that helps you handle stress better. It increases your immunity by 3 times. 3 times. It also creates on your DNA. I cannot pronunciate this word, but it puts a thing on there that helps reduce degenerative disease by 50%. By 50%. You can increase your life expectancy by 50%. So if the charts say you got 10 years left until you die, then theoretically it's going to be 15, because 50% of 10 years is 5 additional years. So it potentially not only adds life to your years, but adds years to your life. This is amazing. You see lots of commercials for women with bladder control. Well, intercourse strengthens the bladder and helps prevent incontinence. Lowers heart disease by 30%. You release more of DHEA, which has a lot of benefits, such as healthier teeth, better digestion, helps. Frequent sex helps with periods, menstrual cycles, and pain, menstrual pain. So, look, Google it. Any health problem that you have, see if eating more fruits and vegetables will help alleviate that health problem. See if having frequent sex will help alleviate that problem. And I think you're going to find out that God wasn't kidding around.